Swims that I did last year. A little bit about my background first. So at the age of 11 I developed juvenile idiopathic arthritis. Today I inject myself every fortnight with some immunosuppressants which suppresses my immune system, and I want to be the first known person with juvenile idiopathic arthritis to swim the English Channel solo. So that's the plan. So the other thing about me, I noticed that there weren't too many people who put their hand up when we said about the long distance swims, is that I haven't got actually a massive background in swimming. In fact, until 2022, this was my greatest achievement, which in 1999 was the 4 strokes to 10 meters, treading water and sculling. And even then, they spelt my name wrong, so I don't know if this actually counts. But regardless anyway, so you can't really see the dates there. So 2022, I wanted to do my first Ironman, which is where I kind of got into open water swimming. So I did my first 3 kilometers. In 2023 I did my first 5k and my full Ironman, and then in 2024 I did the Lake District swims, my first 10k, and then also dock to dock 15 kilometers as well. And the key thing here is just that people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year. So if you haven't done a long distance swim before and it's something that you've always wanted to try, you just got to put in the work and the discipline, and you don't need the backgrounds. Living proof here. So let's talk about the 3 swims that I did then, or 3 of the Lake District swims that I did. So Coniston, Ullswater and Windermere. Windermere is the longest lake in England. It's 17.7 kilometers and it's the 3rd deepest. Ullswater is the 2nd longest lake in England and is the 2nd deepest, and it's around 12 to 14 kilometers. It took me 14 kilometers, it's 12 kilometers point to point. So this is me at the start, happy, naive, full of beans. This is me at the end, dead, destroyed. Oh god, so much went wrong on this swim, but I did finish, and that was the main thing. And I'd done my 10 kilometers, as I kind of said a little bit earlier, and I was like, 2 kilometers extra, what's that? Well, the difference was this was 14 degrees, the other one was 20 degrees, and there is such a huge difference between the two. And when I got in, I was like, this is absolutely freezing. My toes went numb, my hands went numb, and I was like, this is going to be a long, long day. The second thing that went completely wrong was that at mile 1, the buoy markers said 0.5 miles, half a mile, and at mile 2, it said 1 mile. So I thought I was way, way behind schedule, and I was like getting in my own head, and I found out later that the DNF rate was actually 21%, and a lot of people exited at that 2 mile mark. Then at 3 miles I realised and recalibrated and realised, oh dear, I now have some trust issues with these buoy markers. Oh, actually I didn't say, because it was cut off at the top. These are chill swim races, so there's a whole bunch of swimmers. There's about 200 swimmers on the day, very few are skin swimmers. So yeah, very well organised, minus the buoy marker part. The other part is I completely, as I said, underestimated it. Not only the cold, but also the geography of Ullswater is they are valleys and the wind cuts right through it. There are 2 streams running in on either end, and they're both cold water, so it was a lot colder than I ever really thought. And my nutrition strategy was all wrong. At the 10 kilometers I had warm feeds. On this one I tried to survive off just jelly babies and cold water, which don't do that on a 12 kilometer swim. Sugar crashes, and yeah, it just didn't end well whatsoever. So at this point my shoulders feel like they have cement in them. I'm swimming through syrup and I am sobbing through my goggles, and I am absolutely dying at 6 kilometers, and I am thinking, how the hell am I going to get through this thing? And this is the thing, my brain got into hypochondriac mode, and this is the part where it's like your brain knows all the weaknesses, all the little kinks in the armour, every little kind of thing that will tell you to get out. And then you start to spiral as this kind of keeps going again and again. And then it's like, this is really cold, and then it gets worse. It's like, I shouldn't even be here, I'm an imposter, you know, I haven't really done much swimming. And then it's like, I have arthritis, what am I doing here? This is absolutely mental. And then I must admit that at one point I was like, I put my deposit down for the channel solo. I'm going to switch to a relay. I'm going to get some really great mates and we'll just do a relay instead because this is just far too hard. And then it came, well, can I complete Windermere? Can I complete Ullswater? And everything kind of went to crap. So it's a whole thing of trying to remain positive. So how do you remain positive? And one of the key things that I rely on is my philosophies, and Stoicism is a big part of me, as well as Taoism as well. So Stoicism, one of the pillars in Stoicism talks about perception. So it's not the event, it's the expectation of the event. So imagine that you're getting on a bus and you ask the bus driver, how long is the journey going to take? The driver says it's going to take 1 hour. 2 hours later, you get your destination. How do you feel? Upset, pissed off, frustrated, you've lost an hour. Let's take a different scenario, that you get on the bus, you ask the bus driver, how long is this going to take? The bus driver says it's going to take 3 hours. You get to your destination in 2 hours. Well, actually, I feel great because I've just saved myself an hour. And the point is, like, the event is a 2-hour bus journey, but the expectation evokes very different emotions. One where you're feeling angry and frustrated, the other when you're feeling super happy because you've just hacked things. Therefore, it's all about the expectation that you set. And there are a bunch of ways that you can apply this into swimming. So feed expectations is one. I hear so many swimmers say, swim to your next feed. And what's the expectation around the feed? Well, as you can see here, I've listed all my times because I love my watch and I love my data. So Coniston I went straight through. Ullswater I spent 9 minutes feeding in total, which is 3 seconds per 100. And on Windermere you can see my nutrition strategy completely changed, and I was like, I'm going to enjoy each swim, enjoy each feed. And actually it took me 31 minutes at 11 seconds per 100 meters, which is 4 times the amount compared to Ullswater. And if you're swimming the channel or doing a longer distance swim, if you try and catch in tides, you can then miss your tide, and actually it's not the greatest strategy. Dock to dock was a lot better in that I didn't set any expectations, and I just said I'm just going to do it as I kind of feel it, and feed when I want. And actually that was probably the best one alongside the swim trek one, which was manned by Cliff Golding. Another one is landmark expectations. There was a massive duck in the chill swim, a massive rubber duck, it's absolutely huge, and you're like 2 miles out and you think, oh, this is going to take like 10 minutes. No. And you hear it on channel swims as well, like, you know, the cliffs of Dover just don't seem to move, or the Cap Grenade cliffs, they're not getting any closer. So yeah, don't set yourself to fail on landmark expectations. There's weather expectations as well. Weather can just change like that. There's distance expectations, like with the buoy markers in my case, or, you know, if it's going to take 21 miles, but in reality it could take 30 miles, it could take a lot longer as well, with time expectations. So try not to set yourself up to fail by setting any expectations. The second thing, the second pillar for Stoicism is around action. What can I control? My actions, my behaviour, my character, my disposition. What can't I control? Which is will. Everything else. Therefore, they have what's called the art of acquiescence, which is basically surrender, let go, and adapt to change as you go along. And then finally, we've got Taoism. In Taoism, it's an ancient Chinese philosophy, and there's 4 main pillars. It's yin-yang, it's universal oneness, wu-wei, which is very similar to the art of acquiescence. It was just more extreme, the action of inaction, but the one I want to talk about is the law of impermanence, and this is all around change. So the good news is it will change, the bad news is it will change. So if the sun comes out, great, but that can change, so don't set expectations. So yeah, so this is me at the start of Windermere again, full of beans. Super happy, a little bit wiser, not setting as many expectations, and you think that I'd be happy when I get out, but in reality it still sucked. So, but this time at least it wasn't assisted. So yeah, that's me.